Hello, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here on Sunday, 28 January 2018. Yeah, 42 years ago today. Is that right? 43 years ago today. Yeah, good Lord. 43 years ago today, my dad died. Yeah, he died in 1975. Well, this is the new pen. Apparently, the thousand pens that we had given out before, the first batch. This is the second batch, and also it's a good pen. And now I shall have to talk to somebody on Skype. I'll be back. I told you I'd be back. Only it's the next day. It's January 29th, Monday, 2018, and it's about 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So, at least it's a really nice pen. I wonder how much that sets, because he buys that out of his own money. I don't think the church buys those things. That's got to set him back a little bit. I mean, that's a fairly good quality pen. Well, we had the annual meeting, like I said, yesterday, and it went on. These things always tend to run on a bit, but this one ran on probably a little over an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 40 minutes. Of course, basically we were talking about the whole search thing. Our interim rector gave a fairly long introductory monologue to the situation, which the second third of it was very worthwhile listening to. The first 2/3 of it were this jargony bump, such as I read you the other day. I wish I had thought I'd like to take my video, my little Canon video thing up there and record some of this, but I thought, no, just be a good boy, Joe. Just be a good boy. But I'll tell you, I would have loved to have at least just had some way to record the sound, and play it back to you right now. I imagine I could do it on my phone. I just don't know how to do it on my phone. I suppose I could try to figure out or find a way, Google how to do that. Anyway, so there was a fair amount of, things like process and, using terms like process and discernment and being called and so forth. What he did go on to say that was fairly substantive, and this came out in a discussion of actually the proposed budget for next year, talking about rector salary packages and so forth. He gave a lot of the specifics about how pay scales are set for priests. It's all based on years out of seminary, and there's a little latitude within any range, but that's pretty much set in stone. The big difference comes in terms of medical insurance. Each church is obliged to provide some sort of medical insurance scheme or for all of their employees who are over, I think, 20 hours a week. And it could be just basically nothing more than a provision for an HSA, health savings account. Or it could be full-blown on, let's buy everybody in the family, gold-plated medical insurance. Well, those plans are very, 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 very expensive. If you talk about a husband and wife and then like 2 or 3 kids, you're looking at upwards of $16,000 to $20,000 a year just for medical insurance premiums. And then, of course, if they happen to have a lot of use of that, then the premiums are going to go up even more the next year, the next year, the next year, the next year. And then there's a housing thing, and apparently it has to do with, well, it's not like we buy them a house. It's like we pay them extra money to, or we designate part of their salary as a housing allowance, and that comes to them tax-free. Given the oddball tax laws we have here in the United States. Well, it seems to me every country has their own little variant on oddball tax laws. Well, anyway, so I sat with my judge friend and his wife, and of course, that's in a way I shouldn't do that because the two of us get feeding off each other, and we have a lot of fun, and we make too damn much noise. And we both do. We both do. In fact, one guy turned around and told us to shut up. Well, we had been getting a bit loud. So we settled down. Mrs. Dupuy was right in fourth grade when she gave me an N on one of these old, there's like a section on the report card for behavioral characteristics, and the N meant needs help, and it's like, works quietly. I guess I still need an N on that one. So, there were things good and bad about the meeting. I will say that it hit me. It strongly hit me during this meeting, and of course I leaned over and whispered it to my judge friend. Where I am in terms of mentally handling this extremely stupidly long delay in getting a permanent record is that it hit me that I am at the point where I'm starting to lose intellectual respect. Starting to lose intellectual respect for a lot of the people involved in this. And when I lose intellectual respect for somebody, I start holding them in contempt, and then eventually open contempt. And it's really almost a visceral physiologic response with me when that happens. I mean, I don't tolerate fools very well at all, and increasingly do not tolerate them the longer I have to listen to them and be around them. And then I start holding them, and that's when you start objectifying people. See, that's how genocides happen and shit like that. I mean, there must be something sort of hardwired into the human psyche that does that. It's certainly hardwired into mine. Not that I've committed a genocide or have any desire to do so. But, I mean, it's like, why didn't the people in Nazi Germany, realize what was going on? Because they had been, bombarded with all this stuff that told them that you should hold the Jews in contempt. And that's bullshit. But, you tell somebody a fucking lie often enough, they start internalizing the lie. That's how that happens. Anyway, if you bombard me with bullshit long enough, then I'll start holding you in contempt. So that was a little insight there, a little personal insight. All that doesn't have anything to do with the transition process. We also got, after the meeting, a woman who was sort of running a big part of organizing the self-evaluation, parish self-evaluation forms or whatever. She said that the diocese, it's always the diocese, isn't it, had decided to use us as kind of a guinea pig for this new process. And it says it turned out, they learned a couple of things from it. They learned, one, that it takes a lot longer than they thought it would. Well, yeah, duh. And two, they've decided they're not going to do that again. They're going to go back to the old way. So, quite honestly, the results that they got from this, basically weren't substantially different from the results we had in the previous two transition processes, and but under the old scheme of how they did things, and even despite the fact we now have many more many far younger members with kids in the congregation. I mean, it's amazing how this shit basically stays the same. Our interim rector went on to assert that this is priests are kind of a seller's market. They can sort of name their own price. Now, I don't. Given the number of supernumerary priests you read about and hear about, that doesn't seem to me to be true. But he obviously would probably have a better insight into it than I do. Okay. So that's pretty much what happened yesterday. Now I'm being dinged at by somebody. So on that note, I'll say bye-bye, YouTubers. Oh, the outdoor sign, like the trailer hitch, Pizza Hut marketing sign thing that was mentioned in the annual report that I read you the other day, that never even got brought up. So who knows? So we'll see. Bye-bye now.